Although we welcome everyone to enjoy the race, please note the safety. Let one of our officials know if you have any questions on the trip. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have the Area 51 Cup Series here at Watkins Glen. This is race number 4. As you can see, the initial 3 races. You got 2 wins for Kevin Brown, leading the points by 7 over Larry Yingling there in second with his 1 win. Ryan Kelly in third, not too far out with his 3 top 5 finishes. Those 3 have finished top 5 of all 3 races thus far. Chad Wilkes in 4th spot. Everybody's kind of pointing the finger at him. They think he's going to be the man to beat this evening. But you say there's going to be a lot of people challenging Maxwell Caldwell. I think he's definitely been stepping up his game, making sure he's got some practice laps, be ready to go here. And the remainder of the top 10, you got Brandon Pastelacqua, Andrew Pleshy, Robbie Richards, Skylar Brown, and Charles Johnson. So qualifying just about completed here, Dale, and saying 40 laps. Fuel window is going to be in, I think, like mid-20s, like low 20s, like 23, 24. Should be a one-stop race on the fuel strategy side of things, but Obviously, a lot of opportunities to maybe try to go a little short, or maybe even go a little longer on the first stop, and maybe short fill the car just that little bit. But I think what's going to be the key here, though, tonight is first off qualifying, have that track position, because there will not be any yellows. Let's say that's going to be the local yellows only. And of course, just trying to keep those rear tires under you, because it's so easy to get those tires hot when you just get too aggressive on the throttle at tracks like this.
Yeah, I mean there's some banking here, but mostly the corners are relatively flat. So you kind of got to adjust your driving style to more of something like Martinsville or New Hampshire as far as throttle control, braking, and all that. But I agree with you. Rear tires are going to be the key here. Chad Wilkes obviously laid down a scorcher of 112.872. Among the drivers, he's the favorite, so I'm really excited to see how he takes on this place.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing. I'm saying it looks like there's still a few drivers here on track. I think few just running the extra time here to get a little bit more feel, try to figure it out. So I'm looking at some names though that we talk about week in and week out. I'm not seeing them on the board here yet, so I'll have to wait and see once this qualifying session finishes, because I say it could be a little tight for a couple guys if they can finish their laps in time or not here. A few waiting to the very end to put a lap down. So. Let's say obviously there's the bonus point for the pole position. Like I said, right now it looks like it's going to be sitting in the lap of Chad Wilkes, but there's still a few more cars out on track. And then of course there are also the bonus points for being the highest climber. So if you don't have a good qualifying position, say as long as you keep that car clean and out of trouble, maybe find your way up through the field and get a pretty good result and get some bonus points that way as well.
You talk about the track position. Looking at Skylar Brown currently going to grid in third, and Larry Yingley's running his lap now, so we'll see what he does. But, that track position is going to be key. Skylar Brown's had some tough weeks, been involved in some accidents, so he's going to be looking to recover today.
Yeah, and he's been one that we've pointed at before, where he's shown a lot of pace in that number 10 car. So I'm really excited to see what he can do here. Like I said, he's had a little bit of bad luck in a few races, but he's definitely shown a lot of speed various times, so be curious to see what he's got going on here. So I say this is the kind of the, not the classic Watkins Glen, but the classic NASCAR version where they don't run the boot, if you will. We do have the bus stop here. Say there are times when they'll run the basically the classic where say you go full speed, you don't even run the bus stop. But say they will have to try to slow down for that bus stop there, which is definitely a very tricky corner to get through. So you got to come pretty much a high rate of speed out of the S's and have to get down to about, I think, second, maybe third gear right before that carousel. So it's like qualifying just about completed here. So once that finishes up, we'll pull up our starting grid for tonight. And it looks like, yep, indeed, Chad Wilkes gets pole position in that number 17 car. Next to him is going to be the 94 of Maxwell Caldwell. Third place, Skylar Brown, like you mentioned there, Dale. Larry Yingling, he pulls off a fourth place qualifying spot. Ryan Kelly, fifth. Andrew Pleshy in sixth. Brandon Paslock was seventh. And Kevin DeBrown in the eighth position. So you got most of our top runners here in points right in that top 8 positions. 9th through 16th, you've got Lewis Woodall, Travis Turnmeyer, Roy Grandy, Todd Merkel, Michael Spell, Andre Guerra, James Lee, and Eric Schaus. I'm really interested to see how Eric does here tonight. So he's usually a really good road course racer, at least I know for sure on the IndyCar side of things. We'll see if he can transfer that to the Cup side. So he might be one of those drivers that might be one to keep an eye out for a highest climber tonight. And 17th through 24th, these drivers opted not to put a lap down. Dwight Plesh, Robbie Richards, James Ledford, Gabe Butler, Diego Vasquez, Josh Schaffner, Eric Lurie, and Kyle Hess. The remainder of the grid here, Paul Patterson, Nicholas Winook, Mark Brown, and John Brill. So it looks like 28 cars taking the grid this evening. And say front row is going to be that 17 of Chad Wilkes, Maxwell Caldwell next to him. And yeah, say it's gonna be a difficult one, I think, tonight, Dale. I think like I said, the key is gonna be try to keep that car in one piece. And I think also just lap traffic. This is gonna be a really difficult one. There's gonna be a lot of different race pace for these drivers. Who's kind of comfortable with this kind of style of racing where the cars really loose. You have to be real easy on the throttle, and then you're gonna have some cars or drivers that just this isn't really their forte, if you will. So leaders are gonna really have to be cautious about kind of picking and choosing their marks to make the passes. And same thing goes for those lap cars. They're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on their mirrors here and there, maybe watch their intervals, and of course rely on their spotters to let them know when things are going on around them.
Yeah, and the spotter is going to, become even more important as far as identifying, where there's cars that are sideways or backwards or whatever direction they may be, because there's some really, really narrow parts of this racetrack.
Yeah, so there's definitely some blind turns as well, and that's going to be something to really keep an eye on for some of these drivers. You're going to come out of a turn, and you might have a car there that you don't realize is kind of at the wrong spot. I mean, we've seen times, unfortunately, in the Indy Series where someone goes off and they try to loop it back around on track in a dangerous spot where they're kind of blind to the cars around them, and unfortunately they get run into. So there's a lot of potential for troubles here that we're going to have to hopefully everybody's able to get through cleanly here. And I do see a couple drivers going with some strategy here of starting from the pits. That's going to be Dwight Plush in the 44, James Ledford in the 48. I think they're going with that strategy of let's avoid, because I mean turn one, you're going downhill. I'll say you're getting up to speed. You're not quite at your full normal speed through turn one, so it's easy to overshoot the entry of the turn, or even sometimes brake a little bit too early in the turn. So it's easy to have some stack ups there as well. So we'll have to, I think that's going to be a key place to keep an eye on here on this initial start.
And that's a real thing when you watch the Cup cars go here in real life. That happens. When it starts and restarts, people stack it in on turn one, and it has the potential to collect a lot of people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So I'm sure Brennan's letting everybody know, like, hey, let's be easy here in turn one. But I mean, mistakes happen. Everybody's got their different braking points. Everybody's going to have a different brake bias on their car. Figure out what's the best for them. So it's going to be definitely. I think that's going to be the really the first place to keep an eye on things here on the start here tonight at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, another thing worth mentioning. You come to Watkins Glen or Sonoma, you see some of the most exciting finishes that you'll see anywhere on the series. So I'm hoping we get some of that action tonight too.
Yeah, so I think we'll see definitely some pretty good action throughout. Like I said, I think it's going to be really a lot of it's going to be some of these drivers trying to probably have a little bit of damage control. But the thing is, we're going to be kicking things off here pretty quickly here as we're about to see the pace car here head into the pit road here coming out of turn number 11. That's going to hand it over to Chad Wilkes, wait for that green flag to fly, and we will get things kicked off here at Watkins Glen. So you can see it's a quick start. He's down and away. Everybody's going to try to get through the gears here as quickly as possible before they head into turn one for the first time. So this is where we got to be keep an eye on things. Looks like so far so good. You see a lot of drivers trying to kind of fight for a position, and so far actually, Dale, looks like everybody does a really good job to get through here cleanly.
Yeah, real good job by everybody. Max Caldwell gained the upper hand there coming off that first corner.
Yeah, Max with a great start there to kick things off, and that's huge for him. I mean, obviously you want to try to control the track position. You see the 17 of Chad Wilkes get real squirrely there coming out of the S's. That's going to open the door for Larry Yingling here entering the bus stop, which is a very difficult turn to enter 2x2. And you see Larry gives a little bit, which has allowed Maxwell just to sneak out just that little bit here off of the S's into the carousel, off the bus stop into the carousel. That's what I'm looking for. But yeah,
So far, everybody's kind of just got in line and feeling this place out. They've had plenty of time to practice, but it's still, new to this series. The schedule this year has changed drastically from last season.
Yeah, you're exactly right. But say Maxwell Caldwell, this is going to be the start he was looking for. Get the lead here, get a lap lead as well, and then now just try to see if he can pace himself. Like I said, a lot of you guys were pointing at Chad Wilkes as being the one to beat here tonight. So far, lap one definitely advantage to Maxwell there.
And Chad's not out of the woods. I mean, he's got Larry Yingling right on his bumper, and Larry's got, we talked about Skylar Brown pre-race. Skylar Brown's right there as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I say they're all nose to tail here coming through the S's for the second time now. So right now they got top four kind of all grouped together. Then you got Ryan Kelly in that 13 car. He's kind of the next car in line there. He's got some pretty good pressure from Andrew Pleshy. But you can see just how difficult it is to get the power down on these cars, especially through the S's. So that's, I think, where drivers are really having to be very cautious. But so far, like I said, everybody's done a great job here tonight. And say usually the initial laps are where things get really challenging, but yeah, so far so good, and everybody's kind of minding their P's and Q's. And we mentioned a couple drivers we expect them to see them move forward. Eric Schaus was one of those drivers. He's already up to 13th from his 16th starting position, and then right now a big mover on the initial start is that number 50 Josh Schofner, he's been able to gain 6 spots from his initial start from 22nd to 16th. So some drivers are able to get some really good opening laps here.
Yeah, coming up 6 spots, in 2 laps, that's huge, especially at a road course. You might not see 6 spots in an entire race.
Yeah, as we said, we jump back to lead EC. Chad Wilkes able to get a good run there off that last turn, get the momentum into turn number 1. He's going to grab the lead back now from Maxwell Caldwell. But again, he mentioned those that number 10 of Skylar Brown. He is still hounding that 67 of Larry Engling. Let's actually hop on board with that 10 car. See if you can just hear how much. I'll say we'll do it again next time around, but you can just hear how much he's having to really kind of play with that throttle not to get those tires to spin on him.
Yeah, and Skylar's fast everywhere we've been. Like we talked about, he just had some really unfortunate incidents and all that. And this is a good place, a good time for him to recover some of those lost positions in the point standing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So this is one of those tracks where it could be definitely a bit of an equalizer on the point side of things. So right now you see Chad Wilkes be able to sneak away just a little bit from Maxwell. Not quite a second lead. But again, one little bobble, and it's going to bring it all right back to one another. So, and that's really what it's going to take is, again, you're going to have to pretty much run near perfect laps, lap after lap, minimize any mistakes you might want to make. But yeah, so what we'll do here is I'm going to hop back on board here again with Skylar Brown, though. So I want you to be able to hear here into turn number 1 and into S is just that throttle control he has to do. You can also see him there, Dale, just sawing on the wheel through the S's, trying to kind of point the car with his throttle and with the wheel, trying to get that car to go where he wants it to do. So, again, just a great job so far from Skylar, like I said, keeping lots of pressure on Larry Yingling. Eric Schaus, we mentioned him a little earlier. He's still working his way forward now up into that 12th position. So I say he's doing a really good job. And, again, we talked about that 50 car, Josh Schofner. He is tracking very well also. Up into the 14th position right now with pretty good pressure here over Todd Merkel. So Josh not having the qualifying he wanted, but again, making most of this race pace thus far. And that's going to be an opportunity for him, maybe try to get that highest climber of that race and get a couple bonus points that way.
Yeah, I was watching the battle beat for 7th position, Brandon Paslak and Kevin Brown. It's kind of, they've spread back out a little bit. But Kevin had made it right to Brandon's back bumper and then overdrove it a little bit off the corner. Exactly what we was talking about. He's working the inside now, but he's got to be super careful with the throttle.
Yeah, so we saw Maxwell too. He just overdrove the turn a little bit there. And I said this is tough right here, going side by side through the S's. Neither driver giving here. The S's are hard enough single file, but somehow they made it work. Like you said, Kevin able to grab that spot from Brandon. So move Kevin now up into that 7th position. While they did that, though, you can see I brought that 00 of Lewis Woodall right into the picture here. So that's the thing is you kind of start fighting with one another. It's just going to really close the gap with the guys around you. I'm
really impressed with the lap times of about the top 10. Everybody's. To be within 2 seconds, I think is quite an accomplishment here because. We heard coming to this how good Chad Wilkes was going to be, and the driver said that, hey, he's going to run away with it. Somebody just blew up.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly blew the motor here. He's going to try to get it to the pits here, use the fast repair. The problem for him is this isn't going to be in the fuel window. I'm wondering if he may have either missed a shift or may have shifted too early here. But yeah, he's saying so. Ryan Kelly, the motor blown on the 13 car, so he's going to have to use the fast repair here. Unfortunate for Ryan. Ryan qualified in that 5th position. But yeah, so it looks like a mistake for him. So I'll try to go back real quick, see if I can find where it happened. Maybe we can listen and watch it. But yeah, so he's going to hit the pits here, get that fast repair done. It looks like it was actually coming into turn number 10, the second to last turn here. Oops, let's go back here. Let's take a listen. Up on board. I think it went too soon. Hold on. I didn't hear anything out of the ordinary, but yeah, it must have been a shift, just not gone well there, unfortunately. So he's back on track. He still is in the lead lap, Dale, but the problem is he's going to have to make an extra stop He looks like he did opt to take tires and fuel on the stop, 14-second pit stop for him. But yeah, so unfortunately not what he was looking for. As now we're going to jump back to this battle for third position, because you see Larry Yingling, he's been able to sneak away from Maxwell here. But it's brought in Andrew Pleshy also into this mix here, so we got a really good fight here for that third spot with Maxwell, Skyler, and Andrew.
They see Skyler gets a little bit of a wiggle coming off one, but did a real good job at getting the power down, not losing any time to Max Caldwell.
Yeah, so that's really what it's all about, is getting the power down here. So like I said, he's just doing everything he can just to kind of keep the pressure on Maxwell, keep harassing him. I think at some point he's going to hope that either Maxwell's going to make a mistake or just say, okay, you know what, I'm pushing too much to try to keep you behind me. You go, and we'll see. Maybe I can get back to you later on. But that's really what it takes at these tracks. It's that difficult to do. So we're going to jump around again a little bit more. Some drivers we haven't really talked about yet. Roy Grandy in the 18 machine. He is in the top 10 in the 9th position right now, started in 11th. So he's in a kind of, I wouldn't say a nice little pocket, but I'd say he's kind of got a couple seconds behind him, about a second in front of him as well. Say Travis Turdmeyer, they're running out our top 10. But he's going to have pressure from Eric Schaus, who again has been trying to make his way through the field here. Pretty good charge thus far. We talked about him earlier, 16th to 11th here. But again, the one I've been really watching, like we said, Dale, is that 50 car, Josh Schofner. He's up 10 spots from the start of this race in only about 8 laps. So just a huge start for him. And also actually Kyle Hess. Don't want to count him out either. 24th to 14th in that 86 machine. So these guys, some of them opted not to qualify, but obviously have very good pace in their cars here.
Yeah, and the key's just going to be maintaining that pace. You know, you don't have to run the fastest lap. You don't have to set the track record. You just have to be very, very consistent, you know, on these road courses.
Yeah, exactly right. And actually, when you talk about lap times, though, Larry Yingling, he is closing the gap here. He was about 0.7 of a second quicker than Chad Wilkes the last time by, so that gap's down to about 2 seconds now. But again, it's going to change turn by turn. But yeah, say Larry definitely he's not gonna roll over. He's definitely going to try to fight for this position. As you see, actually looks like some of the drivers that are a little further back were working around some lap traffic. Heavy damage on the front end of John Brill's machine. Unfortunately, he's going to try to limp this thing around for the moment. As again, this battle though for third place just will not go away here.
Go back and see if I can't find what happened to John.
Also see Nicholas Winook in the, actually, I'm not sure if he's in the pits or if he may have retired now from the 33 machine. I think he may have had an issue as well. You see, again, we're just watching from the back of Maxwell's car, and Skyler's just putting all the pressure he can on Maxwell, just hasn't been able to shake him yet. But these guys are having a really good fight here for that spot. As again, you can see, unfortunately, a little bit of a connection hiccup, it looks like, for that number 10 car. But so you can see Maxwell able to get through the S's just a little bit better that time.
Yeah, looking at John Brill's accident, it looks like he came off one, and exactly like you talked about earlier, he got a little wide, and when he came back over the transition, it just upset the car and sent him into the wall. So it's going to be a tough break for him.
Yeah, it's just that's a really, really difficult turn. So you kind of think, okay, yeah, I got all the run off road, I can get back on there, but it really doesn't work that way. But you can see with this fight that's going on here for third, you can see in the background, Kevin is just creeping in little by little. He was about a couple tenths of a second to even a full second faster than a couple of these guys. So I'll say while they're fighting, that's letting him close that gap. So I mean, we could easily have about a 4-car battle here shortly for the third position. So I'll say definitely don't count Kevin out. And then say obviously Brandon Paslacco not too far behind him, still in the 7th position. But yeah, these guys all having pretty solid runs here.
Yeah, and I asked Kevin 2 weeks ago his thoughts coming, to Bristol and Watkins Glen, and he was very confident going into Bristol, and we know how that turned out, him getting the win, and not at all confident coming to Watkins Glen. So to see him running, in the 6th position, and then, closing the gap to Andrew Pileshi, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so I kind of hope he gets a top 3 finish, because we're going to ask him about his dashboard there. I'm trying to verify that, or we're about to ask his painter, Chris Jabot. So I want to say that might be a picture of David Hasselhoff from Baywatch on that car there. So I'll just see what the what the story behind that one is, because I'll say it must be an inside joke we're missing somewhere, I feel like.
Yeah, and you know, Chris will sneak things in on Kevin like that.
Smoke there. Trying to catch what car that was that had a big block up there. I think it was the 48 James Ledford. Yeah, he's back out on track. I think it was James that had a moment there in front of the leaders to say, we'll go back and take a quick look there. I think he got away with that. I'm sure it caught a lot of drivers' attention, but let's take a look and see if it actually was James or not. So I saw a big puff of smoke, and oh no, actually he's behind the leader. I think it was Eric Laurie. Oh yeah, Eric Laurie gets loose in turn 10, but able to keep it off the wall, but also get it pointed straight again. So good heads up by him. I sure definitely caught the attention of a couple of those drivers there. So right now still Chad Wilkes putting on a pretty good lap times right now. Say still about that second half 2 second gap between himself and Larry Yingling. Apologies. And then say still that fight though for third rages on, as again these three just will not go away from each other. Eventually I'll get away from this fight, but right now these guys make it hard to watch everything else going on.
Yeah, definitely exciting stuff going on here, and this is what I was hoping to see. They just have to realize that they're costing themselves a lot of time, and like we talked about, Kevin Brown's coming into the picture, and Larry Yingling and Chad Wilkes is getting further away.
Yeah, actually, right now there's only two drivers in the 115s. That's Chad Wilkes and Kevin DeBrown. So I say it looks like Kevin's definitely got some long run pace in that car. So whatever he's been able to find and practice with, it's definitely been working well for him. So, and like I said, you can visibly see the gap closing between him and those three in front. And also, I got to mention as well, you see the traffic that they're trying to give lots of room. We saw Diego Vazquez, he just moved to the inside, let the 93 get on by, and then gets back in line and keeps going. So, again, these drivers not having the nights they're hoping for, say maybe caught up in incidents, or again, maybe just the road racing isn't quite where they haven't got that comfort zone yet. So I say that's one thing we really do like to see, is when those situations arise, that these guys kind of give and take and work with one another. So hats off to the guys doing that. So got to also do catch up on the 13 of Ryan Kelly. You mentioned that motor that he had let go. Oh, actually, Robbie Richards, I saw himself down in the background, Dale. He actually caught the pit entry wall here. No, that wasn't Robbie Richards. Who was that? Michael Spell, I think, actually. Let's go back and look. I say he won't want me to look at it, but unfortunately we have to. So coming out of turn number 11, and again, I think just a little too aggressive on the throttle here, Dale. You're going to see the back end step out, and as soon as it does, there's just nothing he can do here, and it just sends him right to the inside of the pit entry here, and just loops him around, and so unfortunately puts him in a pretty tough spot to try to spin that car back around. He has gotten to the pits now, but again, unfortunately cost him a fair chunk of time here. So he's back down and away, though. There's a little bit of cloud cover right now, Dale. You can see the track's gotten a little bit darker here.
Yeah, and everybody's going to be happy with that. You know, one thing about this too is it's such a big track, and there's different points that are going to be shaded and different points that are going to be hot. It's worth mentioning that that you go to the oval tracks, and typically the surface temperature is going to be relatively the same at both ends of the racetrack. Here's that's not the case.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And so we're going to again jump back to that third place battle, because you can see Maxwell Caldwell, he's actually snuck away a little bit, but now Andrew Pleshy, he's putting the pressure on that number 10 of Skylar Brown, actually kind of getting a peek there through the bus stop, trying to get his nose underneath him, can't do it. But again, we talked about that 93, you see him just lurking in the background, just getting bigger and bigger in the mirrors of these guys, and I think that's also starting to put that little bit of extra pressure on them to step it up a little bit. So fuel window, say we still got probably about another 10 laps that they can go on fuel. But the question is going to be, Dale, when do they decide to make that first set of pit stops? To say you might see kind of some mixed strategy from some of these drivers.
Yeah, and that's a tough one, and that's something a lot of these drivers are probably considering as we speak, because we really don't come to these places.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. So running around through the field here a little bit more. So we're talking about Gabe Butler when we saw that moment. So he is in the 14th position from the 20th starting spot, so he's been able to move his way forward. So we mentioned Ryan Kelly in the 13 having to pit early with that blown motor. He's been able to still get up into the 16th position. He can go about 5 to 6 more laps than the guys around him. It could open him up for some strategy. Actually, I see Travis Turnmeyer. Oh, he looped it, looks like, into turn number Turn number 11 here. Looks like he's back down and away though. I'll say, see, looks like the car's not too worse for wear, but he's going to go ahead and duck in here, it looks like. As I think this might just be outside his pit window, unfortunately, but we'll keep an eye on that. Could still wind up working out for him. Maybe try to stretch it a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to get him, or put him a lap down here as we see the 17 of Chad Wilkes just get around him now. And let's say Larry Yingling, though, he is not going away, though, Dale. So he's now still within that 1.52 second gap here between the front two.
Yeah, and they're bouncing back and forth. Chad Wilkes, Larry Yingling, they're bouncing back and forth lap for lap, who's faster. I wouldn't be surprised to see Larry get there, but Chad's not going to let him go by easy.
No, you're exactly right. But actually, last time by, quickest car on track by a full second is the 94 Maxwell Caldwell. Leaders ran a 117.0, 117.6. Maxwell ran a 116.0. So say maybe waiting for the tires to kind of really come into us. Maybe he's trying to take care of him while he was obviously under attack from the 10 car, which actually I think Andrew Pleshy looks like he has finally gotten around the 10, actually, as has Kevin. So unfortunately, a couple spots lost for the number 10 machine, now back into the 6th position. Move Kevin now into the top 5. And then Andrew into 4th position. So I'll say whatever Maxwell is doing on his tires, though, it's really, really paying off right now. He's got some really good pace in that 94 car. Unfortunately, obviously, let's say about 9 seconds, I should say, off the leaders. But again, though, I mean, if you can keep that kind of pace up on that car, I mean, he could definitely close that gap pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was watching. I happened to be watching the battle between Andrew Pleshy and Skylar Brown, and what happened? The 10 came in a little hot into turn 1 there, and ended up smoking the right front. So it allowed Andrew Pleshy and Kevin Brown to get by him with ease.
And I think Larry and Chad just heard me because they just went into the 115s just to kind of be like, oh, you want to talk about 117s? All right, hold on here. We'll jump over a second faster. So or maybe they saw the lap time thrown down by that 94 Maxwell Caldwell, and they, like I said, they reacted to it. So it's difficult. I mean, you got to try to hit these turns lap by lap and not make any mistakes. And it's gonna be any little mistake you make, say with these cars, as difficult as they are to drive, it's just gonna kind of make it that much, it kind of magnifies it that much more. So say this fight, though, it's not a fight for third now, it's a fight for fourth, but these guys just giving it their all. I mean, they've been going at it lap after lap. You saw Skylar Brown almost get to the back bumper of that 93 there, entering the inner loop there.
Yeah, he's just got to be careful. As he exactly that, he comes off the corner a little hard on the throttle and loses just a ton of time to Kevin Brown.
Yes, I mean, he was able to hold on to it, but again, I keep an eye on this battle because to me visually, Larry looks closer to Chad than he has been. It still says about 1.6 seconds, but just that gap, just to me, it seems like it keeps streaking just that teeny bit. Like I said, it's kind of an ebb and flow between the two of them. But yeah, definitely it's been a pretty good fight. So we'll jump around here a little bit. Say some drivers we haven't mentioned. We haven't mentioned the 19 yet tonight of Andre Guerra in the Valvoline Toyota Camry. Started in 16th. No, 14th, currently 16th. There we go. Had it backwards. His car looks really clean here, Dale. I think he's been doing a good job. Still on the lead lap for the moment. I'll say leader's obviously putting on a pretty torrid pace, so it's going to be hard to keep up with them. So I'll say he's been having a pretty solid run. Then right behind him, Todd Merkel in the 81 machine. Todd is started 12th, has fallen back a little bit to 17th here, but same thing, the car looks like it's in pretty much one piece here. And say at a track like Watkins Glen, that's probably about the most you can ask for. I think to me that's kind of a successful day if you can try to keep that car clean all the way through.
Oh, I agree with you there. You know, a lot of people, including myself, are just not comfortable in road courses. So I mean, it's really easy for some, but just as an incredible challenge for somebody like myself.
Yeah, so it's definitely its own little animal, and like I said, that's why a lot of drivers were pointing at Chad Wilkes for being the one to watch this evening. Let's say also looking at Robbie Richards here, he's gone from 18th to 12th, so he's done a really good job in that number 12 Nations Guard Chevrolet, moving his way forward. And then say Josh Schofner, we talked about him a little earlier, he's gone from 22nd to 9th now, only about 3 seconds off of Eric Schaus in the 72 car. But then I'm watching, though, that 00 of Lewis Woodall. I'll say he's actually he's kind of closing the gap back to that 50 car. So, again, I think some of these drivers, the short run versus the long run, some drivers definitely have some different speeds here. And actually, I see one stopped right off the S. I think that was Eric Laurie. And he's trying to get off track there. I say, again, close call for some of these drivers. You can see he's trying to stay out of the way. It looks like he was able to do so, but definitely a heads up driving by him to stay out, kind of off the track until it was cleared. I say that's kind of the moments these drivers get a little nervous about. I think these tires are starting to give out too, Dale, because I see James Lee. He just went off track in that number 54. He's gotten back righted here, coming back to the start-finish line. He right now is 1 lap down in the 24th position. But yeah, so I think things are starting to kind of, think maybe the tires are starting to give just that little bit here. As I say that, he goes off a little bit in one as well. So yeah, I think these guys' tires are about kind of giving up the ghost here. So they jump around a little bit as well. So one driver that unfortunately is already lapped down, but also making big gains, Mark Brown, 27th to 19th in that 68 car. So I think Mark's in that same boat, just trying to keep that car clean in one piece. He's done a really good job of that so far. So I mean, again, started towards the back here, actually, I think second to last, I might say. So to be able to gain the spots he has, it's been a really good job for him here as well. I say pit stops are going to be, I say windows pretty much open, I think, now for the pit stops. I see, actually looks like Kevin, he's going to be the first of our leaders here, Dale, to pit. He's pitting pretty much 1 lap shy of the halfway mark. Now it's just kind of the question of maybe see if he timed that pit entry well, where maybe avoid some traffic and such. And says he's going to get that car back out underway here. Comes out right behind Robbie Richards here, so you know, he's got to be careful about that, so we know how loose these cars get on the cold tires. Our lead battle has shrunk some more, though. So you can see Larry Yingling now within just about half a second of Chad Wilkes. Like I said, we kind of suspect we will see Larry still be a challenger tonight. Like I said, everybody was pointing at Chad Wilkes, but Larry's going to make sure he keeps him honest here. So I'll say right now, so looks like Skylar Browndale, he's reacting to Kevin. Skylar's going to hit the pits again right at the halfway mark on this one. Kevin pitted maybe a lap earlier, so we'll see again how the kind of the tire difference between these, how the short pit versus maybe pitting a little later is going to pan out. Kevin has gotten around the 12 of Robbie Richards, so that's going to move him back into, moving back up a spot and give him some clean track as well. So now it's going to be see how these two cycle out amongst one another here on the pit stop.
Yeah, he's going to have to keep in mind them tires are cold. They're not up to pressure yet, so the car is going to be handling a little different than he's been used to for the previous 19 laps.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to easily clear Skylar Brown here, but that lead battle though, Dale, it's on now. So now it's going to be all about pit strategy. Say like you said, we were kind of hoping for some of those famous finishes we see at Watkins Glen. Right now, these two are putting on a very good show. We saw a great battle for third and fourth a little earlier. So now we got a really solid lead battle here between Larry Yingling and Chad Wilkes right now as we just crossed the halfway mark here. So 20 to go in this one. So like I said, the window is definitely open. Now it's just up to the drivers to decide when they want to start making these pit stops here. But I think right now, Larry's just going to try to kind of keep that pressure on Chad and see if maybe he can force him into the mistake. And then of course there's the strategy of if you go long on this run, if these cars are as loose as they say they are, I mean, you can maybe pit late, short fill a little bit where you don't fill the car to the brim, and you kind of maybe get rid of a little bit of that looseness.
Yeah, get the rear spoiler up in the air, get some weight off the rear springs, and tighten it up a little bit. But I will tell you this: if I'm Chad Wilkes, I'm really nervous because Larry Yingling is there, and you know he came from a long way back, so I think Larry's found something.
Yeah, and Larry's kind of one of those drivers, also just really good on his tires. And it's one of the things that we haven't found a track that Larry isn't good at yet. So right now, say he's, like I said, pressure's pretty much got all the pressure he can right now on that 17. The thing that's nice though about Larry is you know he's going to race you hard, but you know he's going to race you clean. And that's, I think, the biggest thing for these two guys. So I'm thinking right now these guys are both kind of playing chicken with one another. It's like, all right, who's going to pit first between us? And so I think that's going to be what we see, because that pit window, I think, is going to pretty much have to be done here in another 2 laps, I want to say. If I heard correctly, I want to say the pit window is around 23, 24 laps here. So right now we are starting lap 22, so I think they'll be in the next couple laps, though, for sure.
Yeah, they're going to get every drop out of it, I think, before they come, though. So.
Yeah, say Maxwell Caldwell, he's still holding solid in that 3rd position and still just about that 10 seconds off the lead of Larry and Chad here. And then Andrew Pleshy, he's been able to hold ground pretty well also here, running just about 3 seconds behind him in the 82 car. Lap times very similar between the two of them. Brandon Passalacqua, he's a fair bit back from these two. Hasn't made his pit stop yet as he enters the S's now, but has gone from 7th to 5th so far through this pit stop cycle. Eric Schaus, looks like Eric is in the pits in that 72 car getting service done to his. So he again 16th to 8th so far in this fuel run. And then say Josh Schofner, one of the last drivers that's yet to make his first scheduled pit stops. Let's see if any takers here. Oh, this could be risky. You can see 17 Chad Wilkes. He does hit the pits, but he's going to come in traffic behind the 48 of James Ledford. So, and this is actually, Dale, I didn't mention this either. This is actually a really difficult pit lane because once you kind of hit this little crest here, it's a little bit downhill, so it's very easy to speed here on pit road. You kind of just have to almost just rest your foot on the throttle for it to kind of hold the pit speed. So first step for Chad is to hit his pit box, which it looks like he does. Don't see him backing up, so yeah, it looks like he nails his pit box here. So Chad is the first to blink here. You see Chad Wilkes, Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, they follow in the same lap here. So Larry England going to go one extra lap. Also going to give Larry a lap lead as well, so that's going to be critical for him. So now we'll jump over to our current race leader, Larry Yingling. This is now all about the in and out lap, Dale. Say Larry's going to be trying to be as aggressive as he can on this lap to kind of see if he can maybe gain a little bit of an advantage over Chad Wilkes. And of course, Chad's going to have to try to be aggressive on his pit exit to avoid, basically to try to avoid any time lost as well.
Yeah, and Larry was, faster than Chad. I'm 100% sure of that there late in that run. So hopefully he uses his lap by himself to make up as much time as he possibly could.
Yeah, I saw him kick the rear out there a little bit in turn number 10 as he now into 11 in the pit lane. So this is going to be Larry's scheduled pit stop here. So again, I pretty much think everybody's going to make just a one-stopper here tonight. The other thing we got to mention, though, Dale, that short pit that we talked about by that 93 of Kevin DeBrown, he's now cycled right now in that third position, about 2 seconds ahead of Maxwell. So that short stop definitely did seem to pay out. So now the question is going to be, though, who's going to have the advantage on the pit stop cycle here? As we'll see Chad Wilkes. He's heading off now onto the front stretch off of turn 11. So we got to keep an eye out for Larry Yingling because Larry should be just about to head out of the pits. And actually, no, it looks like advantage easily going to go to that 67 of Chad Wilkes. That one lap difference, I think, was definitely a big one there.
I've talked about him all day, but I'm going to talk about him again. Skylar Brown just turned the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, you're right. It's a 1:13.711, followed up now with the 1:13.749. So we talked about him having the pace, and so he definitely is quick on the fresh tires for sure. And what that's going to do is you can see it separated him from Andrew Pleshy, as now he's going to wind up catching back to that car he's been stuck behind all race long, that 94 Maxwell Caldwell. It seems like Maxwell, he's really good on the long run. Whereas that 10 car Skylar Brown, he can really hustle that car on the fresh tires.
After everybody pits, it's going to put Kevin Brown up in third. So, a great day for him thus far.
Yeah, so the pit strategy definitely got him some track position there. So now the question is going to be on that one too. Do the tires start giving up the ghost possibly if he maybe is too aggressive too soon on him? Because so I'm going to watch the lap times here because I'll be curious to see what their lap times are relative to one another. And actually, as I say that, we're talking about how the gap that Chad Wilkes was able to put down. He now just throws the fastest lap of the race down a 13.344 out of that 17 car.
Yeah, he's nearly a second faster than his first run at this point.
Yeah, saying like a lot of the guys have been putting their fastest laps down after this first set of pit stops. I think everybody got kind of comfortable with what their cars could do, and they've been making use of it. So right now the gap between Larry and Chad is looks like about 4 or 5 seconds. I'll say Chad just had to get through a little bit of traffic. Actually, I think one driver had a little bit of issue in the bus stop. I think it was the 18 of Roy Grandy. Yeah, you can see Roy actually decides to take a tow there. Didn't want to put himself in a bad spot there. So unfortunately, he's going to drop himself back into the pits as Chad Wilkes here enters turn number 10. And you can see Larry a fair distance back here. So Dale, he's got one lap fresher tires. So they always talk about the fresher tires definitely meaning something. But yeah, so right now Chad Wilkes still definitely has a nice little buffer here to give himself a little bit of breathing room and maybe just try to regroup and take care of those tires.
One thing I noticed with Kevin Brown and Skylar Brown, not related, was their fastest lap came on lap 4 on the tires. So Chad Wilkes just turned lap 4, still ran a 13.3. Larry
And Larry
Yangling
just ran a 13.0.
I was going to say Larry Yangling with a 13 flat on lap 3. So this might be his fastest lap of the race he's on now with everything I've seen so far.
Yeah, Larry's in clean traffic because he's got nobody around him, so this is where he can do it. Oh, contact between the 93 and 94 through the S's. Both are holding it straight for the moment, but I say we got both the Area 51 green white checker TV cars having a fight for position there. So we'll go back and take a look a little closer, but this has brought Skylar Brown and Andrew Pleshy right into the mix here, so we'll hold on a second, see if everybody's able to get through here, cleaning through the bus stop into the inner loop here. Let's go back and see, because both these cars are going to have a little bit of damage. Oh, actually, contact between the 94 and 93 in the bus stop. I think Maxwell feels like he is definitely being held up right now by that 93 car. But we'll say when stuff like that happens, you know then that car in front is not going to want to give an edge here. So we'll go back and look in a moment, because right now, though, these guys are fighting for all they're worth here. Oh, as Kevin goes off the track, he gets it back, so that's going to cost him a couple of spots here. I'll say, don't know how much damage that gave to him. I'll say, you can see definitely a little bit of crinkle on the sides of it. All right, now they've kind of settled in a little bit. Let's go back and see what all just went on there, because I'll say there's definitely some contact through the S's, and I'll say, I think maybe a little bit of frustration too, or thinking that maybe he had the spot a little earlier. All right, so we see him coming out of turn number 1 into the S's here. See if there's a mistake, or it just looks like Maxwell just a lot faster through the SEC, gets to the inside of Kevin, and the car just slides up a little bit, so you see the contact between the two of them. And I say that's where it pushes. Yeah, it pushes actually Kevin into the guardrail, though, so got left and right side damage. I don't know how Maxwell held on to that car, but say it looks like Maxwell actually the same thing. They both kind of car contact and guardrail contact. As I, but again, able to hang on to those things. So. Yeah, so aggressive racing there through the S's right now. Say Chad Wilkes, he's trying to work his way through traffic though, Dale. And through all of that, Maxwell's still holding on to a third spot for the moment. But say Skylar Brown, again, we kind of think he's going to be one to keep an eye on. But Andrew Pleshy now, he's got all the pressure on that 10 car.
Yeah, Skylar's very familiar with Andrew Pleshy at this point, as they've been together, racing around each other all race long.
Yeah, looks like Andrew Pleshy actually trying to get to the outside of the 10. I think 10 trying to play a little bit of defense there. We'll see if Andrew can maybe do a crossover. Tries to cut it underneath. Oh, a little bit of contact there in the back. Yeah, you see aggression definitely picking up there. That kind of forced Skylar there into the grass. So that's going to give Andrew the spot here through entering the S's. So now, though, Andrew's got to be careful here as long as he can get through the S's cleanly. He's got to be careful in the bus stop, because that's where you might see the 10 car get a little aggressive on the brakes as well, maybe try to repay a favor.
Yeah, and that's what these drivers got to start thinking about. It's real easy to throw the bumper to a guy, but if they get back to you, it could be bad.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew does have the pace, though, because again, right now Andrew and Maxwell are on fresher tires than Skylar and Kevin. I think that's probably what they were thinking. It's like, hey, we've got 2, 3, 4 lap fresher tires. We need to get by here and make the most of them, but right now, though, I feel like Andrew's going to have the advantage now over Maxwell just because of the car condition. I mean, you can see that the 94 car has definitely got some pretty decent damage to the right front and the left front. So, I say, whereas Andrew's car looks to be fairly clean. So, actually, as I say that Kevin's going to hit the pits, I think that damaged too much for him. He's going to go ahead and unfortunately make an additional stop here, and I would suspect we'll see tires and fuel on that machine, or maybe just tires. We'll see. That's going to cost him a couple of spots here, but with the field as spread out as it is, this might actually not hurt too much in the long run.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin's making a bad choice. I think there's a lot to be learned from that incident. Me personally, I don't think the S is a passing zone. It's the narrowest point on the racetrack, so hopefully they can learn from that and continue on.
Yeah, it looks like definitely 4 tires faster pair on that 93 car. So I say he's going to lose a couple spots. So it looks like so far he's lost to Eric Schaus, Brandon Pastelacqua, the 00 Lewis Weddle, and now Josh Schofner going to go. Actually, as I said, I think Josh Schofner may have just overshot. No, that wasn't Josh. Who overshot that turn? Oh, I think it was 00 actually, Lewis Woodall. So that's going to actually give Kevin a nice little chance here to try to grab this one spot quickly. And this actually would only cost him about 2 spots in the grand scheme of things, as like just from the pit exit out.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, he's got a clean race car. He'll be back on pace, so it's worth the risk in my opinion.
Yeah, now he has to be extremely careful not to hurt the car the rest of the way here because he's now out of those faster pairs. I say still going to keep an eye around on the lap times here. Looks like still about a tenth of a second between Larry Yingling and Chad Wilkes, about 1:15.4, 1:15.3 for Larry, so those guys right on top of each other. Maxwell and Andrew 1:15.9s right on top of one another as well, so our top four right now all in the 1:15s. Looks like everybody else for the moment are 1:16s and a little behind there. So we'll keep an eye on the fuel strategy and the pit strategy side of things. The ones that I feel like are going to have abilities to move forward, one of which is Ryan Kelly. He's made his second stop in that number 13 car. Right now he is a lap down, but let's say he's going to right now he's actually right behind Larry Yingling, so he can kind of use Larry as a pick here. And when they put more cars a lap down, he can kind of just try to follow right through there and keep getting some spots because he's recovered all the way up to 12th now. As Chad Wilkes just crossed the line there, 10 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. It's been an eventful one, but definitely, I think aggression definitely stepped up after that first pit stop. But yeah, right now everybody's kind of giving it their all here. The gap with the lead is still holding it right around that 3-4 second margin. Last time by, Chad Wilkes just a little bit quicker than Larry by about 0.2 of a second. But these two definitely trading fastest laps between one another.
Yeah, later on the tire run, we saw Larry Yingling get there before, and I think he's got just enough time to do it again.
Oh, I see Skylar Brown big loose there, kind of drifted it through the turn. So on the plus side, though, he had his dad right in front of him, Mark Brown, or behind him, I should say. So Mark saw it and was able to slow down, not get into him. So it's going to hurt the tires on that number 10 car, but it's going to keep it going here. Those are those little mistakes, though, that are going to help that extra pit stop of Kevin that we talked about, because now those rear tires are going to be very angry on that 10 car with that big slide.
Yeah, absolutely. His focus now needs to be cooling him back down, getting back in that operating zone, and then going back to work. But if he continues to drive hard, it's just going to progressively get worse for him. Yeah,
you're exactly right. So right now, still pretty steady here between Andrew Pleshy and Maxwell Caldwell. It's about that 2-second gap between them. We mentioned the Kevin Brown with his extra pit stop. He's actually starting to close the gap on Brennan Pasalacqua. They're about 3 seconds apart of one another, so that's going to move him. If he can get that spot, that'll move him back up into the seventh position, which is only going to cost him at this point just a couple of spots after those couple of contacts he had, which you see there. Brandon Pasalacqua lost a lot of time here through the carousel, so it's going to really give Kevin a pretty good opening here.
Yeah, I'd say Brandon's just going to let him go by. It's not worth the risk for the one position.
Yeah, and actually Kevin ran, I didn't even notice that Kevin ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by 13.609. So I think also driving with a little bit of purpose there after the contact and having to take that extra pit stop. So that's going to now move him up into that 7th spot. He's going to have about 7 seconds now to get to Eric Schaus. But again, he does have about 7 lap fresher tires than that 72 car. And that last time by 14.7 for Kevin, 17.3 for Eric. So, a 3 seconds lap faster that last time by, that's definitely doable.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Eric's a heck of a race car driver. He's up 11 positions. If you needed any verification, that's a tough feat in itself.
Yeah, it's tough to start mid-pack or to the back of the pack and work your way forward. So, and that's exactly like that's what Eric's done, 16th to 6th. We talked about the 50 of Josh Schofner. He's gone from 22nd to 10th. Robbie Richards, 18th to 11th. So definitely some drivers that have really made big gains. Gabe Butler as well, 20th to 13th. And we talked about Kyle Hess as well, 24th to 14th. So we do have some pretty big movers in this one. But you look at the top 5 right now, it's everybody qualified in the top 6 except for that 72 of Eric Schaus.
Yeah, and Eric just done a great job of keeping his race car clean, which what we talked about.
Yeah, so I think he probably just had a bit of a pucker moment there. We saw the 19 there of Andre Guetta kind of get a little loose off that last turn, but was able to hang on to it. But it was right in front of Eric, and that's where things get really dicey. However, though, I'm going to jump back up front because I think Chad Wilkes is maybe getting caught up in a little bit of traffic because I'm looking at that gap with Larry Yingling, or maybe Chad made a mistake. Because that gap has shrunk here, Dale. It's down to about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds here. As you see, the 12 car is moving over for now to let Robbie Richards let Chad Wilkes go by. But I'm going to watch these lap times because I feel like that was a pretty good gain. Yeah, about 0.4 of a second for Larry Yingling over Chad Wilkes that last time around.
Yeah, still a long way for him to go. And it looks like lap traffic is in Chad Wilkes' favor at this point.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on where they catch him. I say right now, it seems like traffic has definitely been very polite, been giving space. Do need to mention, actually, it looks like Andrew Pleshy, he has gotten around Maxwell Caldwell. Kind of suspected we would see that just with the damage that Maxwell's kind of having to nurse here to the end. So move Andrew now up into that third position in that 82 car from 6th spot. Maxwell, he'll fall back to 4th at the moment here. But Maxwell's got a pretty big margin now over that 5th position of Skylar Brown. Looks like about 11 seconds between them. And say we'll do kind of check on Kevin compared to Eric Schaus. Say again, Kevin's still about 2 seconds quicker that last time by. And I'll say that gap is definitely shrunk, as you can see as Eric hits the S's. Kevin not that far back behind. And say that would be the battle for the 6th spot.
Like the 19 just had a little contact there with the wall coming through the S's.
Yeah, it looks like he's getting it back up to speed, but yeah, so that's the thing, is just you don't know who's going to have a mistake and where, and so that's really the big part of it, to have to try to be careful. But you see Larry Yingling, he's going to get around that 26 of Paul Patterson. He just made his second pit stop in that 26 machine. But yeah, so right now though, it looks like Larry, I think, actually lost a little bit of time through the turn, or through this first set of turns here, because I say last time by, again, he was about half a second quicker than Chad Wilkes. So Larry definitely does appear to have pace, but again, it just seems like he's got to try to catch this traffic at the right time and not get held up too much.
And that's a variable, he can't control when that happens. He just has to manage the situation the best he can.
Yeah, so you just got to try to time it as well as you can, like you said. If you're Chad Wilkes, if you're Larry Yingling, you don't want to catch anybody entering the S's. That's probably the worst place to have that happen. But so far, it seemed like I said, even when that does happen, these guys are definitely giving room and being very polite with one another. We've seen a little bit of raciness and probably of some frustration with one another from other places on the field. But as a whole, though, I think all the traffic's done a really good job of kind of just giving and taking where they can.
No, I absolutely agree with you.
All right, we're down to 5 to go here. So that gap's still showing about 2 seconds, or 2.6 seconds it looks like. But yeah, that last time by, Chad Wilkes was about 7/10 of a second quicker there. Or actually, about 6/10 of a second quicker than Larry Yingling. So it did visibly look like a bigger gap, and that's the reason why it actually was. Let's say it was 15.7 to 16.3. And say Andrew Pleshy, he ran a 15.6 the last time by. So Andrew still got pretty good pace in the 82 car. But I'd say the quickest car on track was still that number 93 of Kevin Brown, who's now pretty close here to getting to that 72 of Eric Schaus. So this will be that battle for the 6th spot here. And if he can get this spot, Dale, this extra pit stop is actually going to be kind of a net even, really, because he pitted from the 6th position after that contact. And so he's almost there to be able to grab that spot back. So yeah, whether it was a driver call, a crew chief call, as I say that, too hot entering turn number 1, he's going to slide it. It's going to loop around. He's going to have to try to get it turned around. He's got to be careful not to get hit from behind. And it looks like everybody was able to react to that. But I think that's going to cost him the chance to grab that spot, that 6th position there. Just a little too hot on the entry there.
Yeah, it's the worst place on the racetrack for that. Because like you said earlier, you're coming downhill. It's a 90 degree to the right. You got to be very, very careful with the brakes.
Yeah, and it's hard to see from our point of view, but it's very possible. May have wheel hopped it there on the entry as well. That's one of the easiest turns to wheel hop is. So you got to try to adjust your brake bias and kind of get it in that comfort zone, if you will. As you can see, again, you see a lot of drivers giving lots of room there to Chad Wilkes, that our race leader, because he's got 4 to go here. And you saw the 19 and the 48 give plenty of room to him. Now you see Larry Yingling. Oh, Larry is getting aggressive here, trying to split the middle here between the 81 and the 48. He does so. Now he's going to he's going to lose a little bit of time here behind the 19 car. But you can see Larry trying to waste no time. And that gap has shrunk. I think Larry, like I said, I think he's going to throw everything he has in these final 3 laps.
Yeah, at this point, he doesn't have a choice. I mean, this is where he needs to give it all. He's got, 18 seconds back to Andrew Pleshy, so he's got plenty of time if he does make a mistake. But Larry Yingling is not the person we see making mistakes very often.
You're exactly right. So Larry's usually one of the drivers that's one of the cleanest, but also one of the fastest drivers. So yeah, it seems like mistakes are few and far between from him. If there's a place that you can make a mistake, though, this is definitely one of those places. And say, well, look at the lap time, and yeah, Chad definitely lost some time on that cycle there because he ran a 17.2, Larry a 16.8, so about 0.4 of a second gain for Larry. As you can see, yeah, he slides it through turn one, trying to get the power down. I think he's just, like I said, giving it everything he has here, trying to chase our race leader Chad Wilkes back down.
Yeah, he's got enough time to get there, but I mean, Chad's not really slowing down. I mean, yeah, he's had about 4 seconds of fall off, but I mean, he's maintaining right where he should be pace wise.
Yeah, exactly right. I say right now, Chad's he needs to just focus forward, hit his marks. Don't worry about what Larry's doing, because I would say the moment you start looking backwards, you know you're giving up time. So, say Chad's doing everything he needs to do right now. Say it looks like really smooth lines and everything. So now just let Larry try to be as fast as he can. See if maybe he makes a mistake where then you can really back it down. But yeah, say right now though, Chad, he's just got to try to keep it clean here for about 2 more laps to say manage the gap that he's got. Cross line here, 2 to go. Dale at Watkins Glen enters turn number 1 again, tries to get it slow to make sure he doesn't get any wheel hop. And something like you said as well, I mean, we've seen leaders overshoot turns here in the Cup Series, just going for everything they're worth there. And saying Chad did exactly what he needed to do that last time, but I had a very solid lap there, Dale. 15.8. Able to actually stretch his lead back up to Larry there by about that same 0.4 of a second that Larry had gained on that previous lap.
Yeah, and gaining everything back now is going to be very difficult. That half a second he lost there is definitely going to hurt him.
Yeah, and again, you see the 54 right there, giving lots of room. That's James Lee. So again, just shout out to these guys that say they know what's on the line for our leaders. They're trying to give everything they can. Kind of let it be a fair fight between them. Don't want to play a role in that one. So that's definitely what you want to see in these races. So hats off to our cars to say, because Chad's actually got a couple more here he's going to work over. First up is going to be the 68, I believe that is of Mark Brown. And then in front of him, I'm trying to catch, I think that was Lewis Woodall in the 00, if I'm not mistaken. Say Lewis right now actually is the last car in the lead lap, so obviously he'd love to stay on the lead lap here and get it. And just in case, you never know what's going to happen in these last laps, as Chad Wilkes does take the white flag here. 1 more lap for him to go, try to get that win tonight here at Watkins Glen. Say second or third and fourth holding pretty steady. Max or Andrew Pleshy got about a 4-second lead over Maxwell Caldwell. They've got a big gap to Skylar Brown there. Eric Schaus about 10 seconds off of him, and then we mentioned Kevin DeBrown and say he's still looks like about 4 seconds off of Eric after that bobble he had in turn 1. So pending mistakes, I think right now our top 10 or so is pretty solidified here. So right now they're just watching that 17 car. I think right now he's just kind of biding his time, like I said, just gonna try to use the gap that he has over Larry Yingling here over this final lap here.
Yeah, it's about 1.5 seconds in between the 2 cars, so I don't believe Larry's going to be able to get there. And I don't think Chad Wilkes is going to be in any hurry to get by that 00 if he doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. And Lewis Woodall, he's hoping that he can stay in front of the 17. Like I said, it's always you want to finish on the lead lap no matter what. So it looks like he's going to be able to do so, because here comes that number 17 of Chad Wilkes coming off the final turn. So he just needs to get this corner exit clean, and Chad Wilkes going to get the win tonight here at Watkins Glen over the 67 of Larry Yingling. Chad Wilkes wins from the pole. Larry Yingling 4th to 2nd. And we got to jump back to our battle there for that 3rd position. Say Andrew Pleshy got 2 turns to go here. But say a good run for him as well, able to keep that car clean, stay out of trouble. Saying he's going to bring this thing home in that 3rd position in that 82 machine. And right behind him, battered and bruised, but still going to grab a top 5 finish. 4th position going to go to Maxwell Caldwell. And then so we mentioned that number 10 of Skylar Brown, he's going to be the next to cross the line here as he comes through the final turn. And that will be our top 5. Skylar going from qualified 3rd, is going to finish in the 5th position. Definitely was one to watch on those fresh tires, but unfortunately just didn't quite have the long run pace. I think just got those tires too angry too early. But still a great result for him, as I think he shows his frustration there on the turn 1 pit wall. Oh, here comes the 44 Dwight Plesh. He's going to do the same, as he actually hits the wall and goes flying backwards. So you got to be careful not to get a disqualification there. think some of these drivers showing their frustration out at the end of this race here tonight.
Yeah, I mean it's physically and mentally exhausting, especially when you're used to turning left all day long. Like this is a whole new ball game, but overall a great show. I mean,
yeah, very exciting race. I'll say we saw a lot of good battles. I said we had a battle for the lead right before the pit stop cycle. Obviously, the pit strategy, I should say, worked out well for Chad Wilkes here. As I say, he's going to definitely, of course, have some fuel to get to the end as he's going to celebrate here at the start-finish line. So he got the win at Talladega in the Super Speedway Cup Series. Gets the win here tonight at Watkins Glen. And I say, I know this one's going to feel good for him though, Dale, because like I said, he felt like he was the one to beat on Tuesday in the Indy Series at Road Atlanta. But say kind of some circumstances out of his control cost him some spots there, but able to get the job done tonight. I think he's going to feel like he worked hard and earned that one as well, having to hold off that 67 of Larry Yingling.
Yeah, no, absolutely not a easy feat with Larry turning a 13 flat, the only 13 flat of the race actually.
So we'll jump over to find our top three drivers, have chats with them. And it's going to start things off with our third place finisher, which will be the 82 of Andrew Pleshy, who is kindly enough going to be hanging out right here on the front stretch. So we'll go ahead and grab him here first. All right, so we're going to lead things off with that 82 of Andrew Pleshy. So he started 6th, brings it home in 3rd. Obviously, I know this is going to be a tough fought one for all of you guys to say these Cup cars with the high horsepower, low downforce, and just as much as they weigh, so they probably just felt like you're kind of just sliding around on ice there for a good chunk of the race. But you guys did a good job. I feel like you're in that battle for that 3rd, 4th, 5th position pretty much that whole race there. I'm saying obviously you kind of had the bird's eye view of a couple big fights there during the race. So, I mean, take us through the race in your point of view.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was really hard fought. I'm actually like worn out. Damn. I don't know, just trying to take it easy. The car was really loose. Even on new tires, you had to be careful with your foot, like out of every single corner. If you mashed that gas, you were gonna die. I can't even remember. I was with the 10 and the 94. We kind of were all equal there and had Kevin Brown chase us down. We were all just kind of in a little train there. We were all pretty equal, so we were kind of like holding each other up in a way. And I forget what happened to even make that stop. And then after the pit stop, it was just, I kind of had open track for the most part. And it was just, hit your marks, be careful, don't mess up. Just dodge lap cars, which they weren't really too bad. So that was good. There was a couple scary instances. I think I was 3 wide in the last corner at one point, which was pretty nuts. But yeah, I've been focusing so hard, I don't even remember half the things that happened in this race.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a perfect example of just how focused you have to be on that, where it's like in the moment, obviously you're completely zoned in and you're kind of watching everything and needing to be alert for everything that's going on around you. But yeah, right at the end of the race, you're just like, you kind of have to go back like, okay, so what all did just happen in that race? Because, yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. Obviously, I mean, even with just being a one-stop race, I mean, it's still a lot of strategy of when to make that pit stop. Obviously, it looked like pitting a little later actually worked well for you guys to kind of use those fresher tires as they went on. On the strategy side of things as well, did you guys? One thought I had was maybe taking a little less fuel instead of filling it to the brim to maybe try to get a little bit of weight off the rear wheels there, maybe help that traction a little bit. Was that something you thought about or that you did, or what was your game plan on the pit stop side of things?
It never even crossed my mind, to be honest with you. It was just, I didn't want to mess anything up, so we're taking 4, we're filling it full, we're going to drive this thing exactly like it started and be done with it. There was a couple different ideas we all had for strategy, like you could, maybe come in and short pit a little bit, on lap like 16 to 18, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I didn't think that would work too well because by the time you'd be stretching your gas pretty far and your tires would be beat up by the end of it. Or you could split it in half, which was also a really good idea. I think some guys did that. But I thought it was just a better idea to come, run the fuel out. That way you have, like you said, you have the tires at the end. And it seemed to work. Everybody who did that, it seems like finished in the top 5 for the most part. So yeah, it was only one stop, like you said, but there was definitely some strategy to it.
Yeah, so definitely some strategy on when to make that one stop. But yeah, and then obviously a lot of work to to get there through. So I mean, I say it looked like the car looked pretty clean. So I think you're able to keep it in one piece there throughout the race. I say that was obviously tough to do, like you said, with that big battle that you were in there. Like you said, with Skylar, with Maxwell, with Kevin. I say you guys were just putting on a whale of a show. I say it was hard to even focus on the lead at sometimes because like I just want to watch this fight for third. I say Dale and I were pretty fixated on you guys. I say because you guys put on an awesome fight there, and so I mean a great job to all of you. Say well earned, obviously third place tonight. So yeah, definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that result?
I'd just like to thank my teammates, Chad, Ryan, Larry, Maxwell, Brandon, of course. We all put in a lot of time practicing for this, and it looks like it paid off for a lot of us. And all them guys too. Maxwell for we kept it clean. Ryan and Brandon let me in on the start. So thanks for the respect and kind of helping we all helped each other try to survive, which was really cool. And so yeah, thanks to them guys. Thanks to you for streaming. And my mom I always see her a lot. She always asks me, "What are you doing Thursday nights?" So I sent her the link tonight, and maybe she's watching. So hi, Mom. But yeah, it was just thanks to everybody. Really hard race. Glad somebody could stream it and people could watch. Thank you guys.
Yeah, say if she didn't catch it, say obviously you'll be able to watch it later, so you can find get the link and then send her the kind of the time grab of the interview. That way she can catch the interview and I'm sure moms always love getting attention from their kids. But yeah, great job though tonight, Andrew. I said well earned, hard fought. So yeah, definitely try to take some time, relax, and get back, and we'll see you again here. See you soon again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys. Have a good week.
All right, Dale, we can now jump over to our second place finisher. That's 67 of Larry Yingling. Again, Larry keeps the streak alive of podium finishes from season 7 all the way still through here to season 8 or season 6, season 7. I don't know. I'm all mixed up in my seasons here. But if there's one thing, it's going to be Larry fighting for wins and being in the top 3, top 5 positions here tonight. All right, so Larry, you obviously had a really good long run pacer. We saw you chase Chad down on the end of that first run, just closing the gap little by little there. You got to him at the pit stop cycle. Did you feel like going the one lap was going to be kind of the winning move, or had you done it differently, would you have been rather be the one to kind of short pit Chad there at the end?
I felt that was the only move that will give me the best chance. I feel like throughout the whole run, Chad and I were pretty similar kind of in pace. I know he was taking it easy at times, but saw the lappers, and there was a couple of spins in front of us, and on that particular lap when we pitted, I was either going to pit if he stayed out or just do the opposite of him, and I chose to stay out. And I was so used to having a car in front of me, and when he pitted, I had no one entering the bus stop. I almost just blew the whole thing, and I know I lost a second. And I didn't expect to be anywhere close to Chad, so I'm quite proud of myself.
Yeah, I mean, you guys put on a show, like I said. I mean, I know everybody kind of pointing their fingers at Chad, be like, okay, he's the one to beat. But yeah, like you said, I mean, you definitely kept him honest. It's like you were fighting hard there. I said the pace you had, that kind of the midway through that first run, it's like, okay, Larry's got something here. He's on his way. But you're right though. Say the difference of driving when you've kind of got that rabbit, if you will, to chase in front of you. When that goes away, it definitely kind of changes what you're able to do. So I've been there myself. I feel like I always drive better when I've got kind of that person that I need to try to chase and keep up with. But saying I'm sure also you're probably trying to get everything you can. We know how important that these types of races, the in laps and out laps, are there. So let's say if you want a feather in your cap though, Larry, say you were the fastest car on track time. You ran a 1:13.019 to his 1:13.338. So you can definitely let Chad know you ran the fastest lap of the race, not him. But I mean, again, just obviously, I mean, a great start for everybody. We saw a lot of respect in turn 1 there. We kind of talked up. There's always a lot of potential of the mistakes entering turn 1 on lap 1. Just let's say kind of got that downhill entry. You're not quite at your normal pace, so everybody's braking points are going to be different there. Was that just a lot of inner team and inner driver kind of communication? It's like, okay, hey, let's just make sure we get through turn 1 cleanly and then we go after it, or what was the game plan there for on that side?
I think it was a little bit of both. We took it easy for the most part, but on the on top of the S's, Chad got loose, and I had a momentum on him. That caught me off guard. I didn't expect to catch him like that, so I tried to enter below him, and I knew too wide entering the bus stop was not going to work, so I backed out, gave him the spot, and I was just going to sit and ride for a few laps. Then he got by Maxwell, and I had to go, and same thing happened with Maxwell and I on entering the bus stop, and but yeah, it felt like a pretty good race, pretty clean for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really exciting race. Dale and I were trying to keep up with everything going on, but I'd say there were points where we were kind of focused on Andrew, Maxwell, Skylar, and Kevin because they were putting on a really good show for that third place position. And then, like I said, towards the end of that first run, it was just we had to keep an eye on you and Chad because I mean, you guys were just putting on putting on a whale of a show. And then I was saying, and it was obvious though after pit stops, everybody kind of got comfortable. Like, okay, I know what I can do, how hard I can push. Because I say after that first set of pit stops, everybody was throwing down fast laps, and it seemed like just everyone was trying to throw their biggest punches there at after that first pit stop.
Yeah, I kept when I exited the pit road and saw I was 5 seconds behind Chad, and me screwing up my entry lap, and I was starting to psych myself out, like it's over, I'm just gonna sit and ride, take second. And I started remembering the first run where Chad got held up a few times and by some slow cars, and I was able to gain a bunch. And towards the end of the run, I was maybe a little bit faster than him. That seemed to be the case. The second run, I was somewhat faster than him, just a little bit. And when he took it easy, and I knew my chance all depended on how he got through lap traffic, and he did pretty well. I had a interesting moment going 3 wide, entering the braking zone there on the bus stop with a few laps to go. Normally I wouldn't do that, but I knew that was my one chance to keep the chance of catching Chad or end it right there, and I just went for it.
Yeah, we did catch that one. I saw it go in split the middle of that 3 wide there. So as a whole, it did seem like the lap traffic did give you guys as much room as they could. I mean, obviously you got to account somewhat for someone's going to make a mistake here and there, regardless of who's around them. So that's where you got to obviously stay on your toes there. But as a whole, though, it seemed like lap traffic definitely tried to give you guys the space and the lines when possible. Obviously, a track like this, you want to do it in the straightaways because it's very tough to run these turns 2x2. So. Was that kind of? Did you feel like that was the case as well? Other than, of course, the few kind of mistakes or just kind of catching guys at the wrong time.
Yeah, pretty much. Some definitely did pretty well when we were near him. I know it seemed like Chad would catch someone in the bus stop, and then I'll just catch him right in the. I meant the S's earlier. Then I'll catch him right in the bus stop, and I was just getting frustrated at times, and it didn't make me drive faster.
Yes, and that is something. That's the thing though with these races. It just you got to catch them at the right place at the right time. That's Dale and I were talking about that too. Is you're kind of just you're at the mercy of where you catch them. Like I said, if you catch them at the beginning of the S's, it's a little tricky there because it's hard to run 2x2 there. Then you say also if you got the bus stop there, it's a tough passing zone, especially if you catch them kind of in the middle of the bus stop. Then you got to wait through the inner loop there. So I could definitely see the frustration when you catch those guys at the wrong time. I've been there myself where it's like, oh, come on, why can't I catch the one person like on a straightaway?
Yeah, as much as I hate catching them at the wrong time, I was hoping Chad would catch him at the wrong time because I really needed that.
Yeah, traffic sometimes giveth and taketh away, but again, you keep this streak alive, Larry. I'm gonna have to do some research here because I need to find your streak of top 3 finishes, like I said, because it's been going since last season. It's continued all the way through here. So I mean, you've been doing a great job week in and week out, and it's gonna be kind of one of your routines here again, though. I got to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that run tonight?
Definitely my teammates tonight: Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, Ryan Kelly, Chad Wilkes, Brandon Pasalacqua, and Nicholas Winook. And shout out to my sponsor, Hash Brothers Performance. If you need any work done in your Ellis engine or GM vehicle near the southwestern Virginia area, contact them on Facebook to see what they can do for you. Thank you guys for the broadcast as always. Looking forward to watching this. And I just thank the league for putting this stuff on. Looking forward to Michigan.
Nah, great job, Larry. I know Andrew is pretty worn out for that one, so rest up a little bit and I'm sure we'll be seeing and hearing from you again soon. So great run though tonight.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's going to leave us one more driver. And for some reason, it's pointing at the wrong part of the car there, so we'll switch it here. And that is our race winner. That's 17 of Chad Wilkes getting the win from the pole tonight. So I know, obviously, on Tuesday, Chad would say everybody's pointing their finger at you for Road Atlanta with the Indy cars. I say, we mentioned, say, kind of circumstances out of your control kind of shot you in the foot there to give you a chance at that one. So I'm guessing tonight, being able to hold off Larry and get the win tonight feels pretty good to be able to accomplish that after kind of getting one taken away from you on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm glad it all went relatively incident free. So that's what I was hoping for, and that's what we got. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's nice to get a win.
Say it wasn't an easy one though. Say kind of he saw at the beginning. It's like, okay, there goes Chad. He say obviously the start didn't go quite to plan. We saw Maxwell sneak around you. Then you got by him, and you're able to kind of start making some pretty good ground on the guys. And say, all right, is this going to be the Chad Wilkes show? Then halfway through that run, say Larry kind of found a gear, if you will, and was able to kind of close that gap down on you, and then got to you right at the pit stop cycle there. So he's definitely keeping you honest there. And so I was asking him about the pit stops strategy there. Did you have any thoughts on your end if you wanted to try to pit before Larry or maybe try to pit after him, or were you just kind of like, this is what my pit window is going to be, and I'm sticking with it no matter what?
Yeah, the first run I drove like trash those first 2 laps. I don't know. I wasn't really comfortable. I hadn't practiced behind anybody for a while, and I really wasn't used to like where Maxwell was braking, and the tires were cold, and I really just drove really poorly. And he made a mistake, and I got around him. And then at that point, it was just trying to go just as fast as I needed to go. I've raced with Larry. I've raced the league race with Larry one time on a road course in these cars, and I've practiced with him a couple times. And this is very rare for me to say, but generally I've got him covered on the road courses. So at that point, once they got into the lead, it was literally just like looking at his relative and trying to keep it where it was. And then I started running into lap traffic, and he killed me through traffic. I mean, I was going, and I went back and watched some of his replay while I was waiting for the interview. And I mean, he was just bombing it past traffic, and I was being extremely cautious because I've lost some races, some road course races in this league to traffic. So I was being extremely cautious. And then with the pit strategy, I was going to run it dry, but then we came up to 2 cars, and with 1 lap left in my tank. So I went ahead and pulled in because I knew and I could go ahead and get a lap ahead of him. And I knew that he was doing a good job of saving his tires, but I knew I was faster than him. So as long as I got out in front of him, then I could control the gap or, do whatever I need to do, even if he had a lap newer tires, which is a big deal. You lose. There's a big tire drop off. So yeah, I just want to make sure I came out of the stop ahead of him. And I knew that pretty much unless something crazy happened, I could be very conservative through lap traffic and just relax and bring it home.
Yeah, so you were definitely able to do that. So say on the strategy side of things, did you go ahead and just do 4 tires, fill it up, or did you maybe take a little bit of fuel out to maybe help tighten it up a little bit? As I know there were some discussions about that in practice, but so far of the top drivers, it didn't seem like anybody went ahead and used that approach.
Yeah, I don't even know how that stuff works. Larry knows about how all that stuff works. I couldn't even tell you what fuel or no fuel does in a stock car. So yeah, I just filled it up, whatever the default thing. I didn't even look at my black box when I came in.
So I just put you in the seat and let you go to work is your strategy there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know enough about, especially stock cars. I'm learning more about, just through doing a lot of endurance racing. I've learned more about other types of cars, but when it comes to stock cars and all that stuff, I don't know about it. I know a lot about it. I just, just try to drive fast, I guess.
Well, you definitely did that tonight. So you and Larry put on an awesome show tonight. So like I said, I knew it was going to be a nice monkey off your shoulder after Tuesday. But it's like getting the job done. I know, like I said, we knew this was ones you had circled. The other ones kind of had you penciled in here as well, kind of as the one to beat, one to watch. So able to kind of hold on to that as well. So great job tonight, Chad, on that win. Definitely want to give you the floor, though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight?
Yeah, thanks to everybody who runs with us in the Discord. That list is way too long for me to name now. That thing's blown up to like 10 people a race. There's a lot of them. It's just fun to be able to race with those guys and win. But I will say a specific group of guys. Brandon Pasalaco put up a bunch of rooms, and Maxwell Caldwell, Andrew Pleshy, whatever his freaking name is, Ryan. All those guys, we did practice a good bit through this, and Brandon put up a bunch of rooms. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to practice these things because I really have very little experience. This is my second ever league race in stock cars. So these are not my thing. Like I do a lot of road courses, but very rarely in a stock car. So it's good to be able to get all that practice in. I wouldn't have been as fast as I was without that practice. And yeah, thanks to the league and who I'm missing. Thanks to y'all for the broadcast.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is next road course race, they're not going to put any practice sessions up, try to keep you at as much of a disadvantage as possible, though. So you might have to do a little bit on your own, I have a feeling, after this one.
Yeah, well, I have raced like maybe 2 official lobby races at Sonoma. That's more in experience than what I had here. So generally, I think those guys, probably try to pick something up from me. That's why they let me in the session. So hopefully that'll continue.
Yeah, awesome job though tonight, Chad. Congrats on that win. I say well earned and I say hard fought there at the end there with you and Larry. So enjoy it. I say, and we'll look forward to catching you in here soon. But yeah, definitely enjoy this one, and yeah, we'll talk again soon, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, Dale, that is our race winner. Chad Wilkes in that number 17 Torino Talladega. So we saw him get the win at Talladega. The Super Speedway Cup Series a few weeks ago. He's able to get another win here tonight in that beautiful paint scheme tonight here at Watkins Glen. Hard fought, well earned for that guy tonight. Like I say, everybody kind of had him pointed like he's the one that you're gonna have to beat. He was able to do so, but again, it wasn't like he just kind of ran away with it. Larry definitely held his own against him and kept him honest. He had to make sure he pretty much minimized any mistakes that he could have made there at the end to be able to hold on to it tonight.
Yeah, and let's not forget Maxwell Caldwell got around him there on the restart coming off turn 1, so it definitely was not easy. I know it may look that way, but Chad definitely had to fight for that one.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So we got to pull up our final results for tonight's event, though. So watch the burnout there in the background. Chad Wilkes getting the win over Larry England by about 2.5 seconds. Andrew Pleshy was on a whale of a fight with himself. Maxwell Caldwell, Skylar Brown. Those two finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively. Eric Schaus brings it home in 6th from the 16th position. Kevin Brown made that extra pit stop, still able to bring home in 7th. Kind of only a net loss of a one position after that pit stop. So overall not a bad strategy there. Like I said, probably actually would have had that 6th spot if not for that mistake that he had entering turn number 1 towards the end of the race. Brandon Pasalaco, he finishes in the 8th position. So I think Josh Schofner probably the highest climber from 22nd to 9th in that number 50 machine, and Lewis Woodall holds on to a top 10 in that 00. 11th through 20th drivers all lap or more down, just the sheer pace of 1767 tight. Robbie Richards, he grabs a solid 11th place finish from the 18th position 18 starting positions, I should say. Ryan Kelly able to recover to 12th after having that blown motor early on in the race. Unfortunately, was outside of the one stop window, so he had to make a second stop as well, but a great recovery for him. Kyle Hess in 14th, Andre Guetta in 15th. And you got Todd Merkel, 16th, Dwight Plesh, Mark Brown, James Ledford, and James Lee rounding out our top 20. And unfortunately, these drivers not having the nights they were hoping for. Paul Patterson in 21st, John Burrell 22nd. Eric Laurie able to stick it out, though, still finishes in 23rd. And these drivers all looks like retired a little bit early, unfortunately. Michael Spill, Roy Grandy, Diego Vasquez, Travis Turnmeyer, and Nicholas Winnock round out our remainder of our 28 drivers. That was a hard-fought one. I'd say a lot of various places, some pretty hard fighting between some drivers. Saw some contact, saw some hard clean racing as well. But I feel like that's Watkins Glen in a nutshell. So you're gonna get a little bit of everything here. Like I said, Larry just wasn't able to get through the traffic as well as he wanted to, probably on that second half of the run to try to chase Chad back down. Those two definitely put on a great show up front. Like I said, also from 3rd through 5th there, those guys were lap after lap. They just could not get away from one another.
Yeah, you're right. Never, like talked about many times, everybody had all the confidence in Chad Wilkes, and he delivered on that. But what we're going to see in 3 weeks, we go to Sonoma, and there was a lot of knowledge gained by all the drivers tonight. So I think we may see a different result at Sonoma.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, and that track, I feel like, honestly, with these cars is even more difficult than it was tonight. You're going to have to be even more gentler on the throttle. So, I mean, that track's obviously got sand and dirt all around it, so it's going to be one that you want to stay on track if at all possible. So, yeah, it's going to be a challenging one for the drivers, but it'll definitely be a lot of fun to see. It's a lot of elevation change there as well. So, yeah, so that's going to be definitely one to watch as well. So, appreciate everybody for joining us. Dale, as always, love having you in the booth with me here tonight. It was definitely a fun one tonight. And yeah, looking forward to next week here and see what they can do. It sounds like at Michigan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Michigan next week.
That'll be a fun one to say, because that's going to be one with the high downforce, low horsepower package. So I mean, these guys are going to be going pretty much balls to the wall, I have a feeling, until his tires wear off. So that's going to be a fun, challenging one for these guys. And I'll say we'll be back on Thursday, of course, for that one. We'll be back on Sunday for the Super Speedway Cup Series. We'll see if anything changes with that new build. We'll see how they race over at Daytona, I believe, is next. So that's going to be an interesting one to see as well. So for myself, and of course with Dale, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be back again on Sunday. And of course, happy Friday Eve. Hope your week has been going well. And of course, as always, if you can, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. And until Sunday, have a good night.